Father, thank you for your presence with us today. And Lord, we bless your name.
Yes.
You are a covenant-keeping God. And Father, we thank you that because you are a covenant-keeping God, we can have confidence, Lord, that you're a God who loves us and cares for us. And Father, thank you for your grace. Thank you, Lord, that with you all things are possible and that you are a God who hears and answers prayer. Thank you for bringing Cal today. And Father, we thank you for getting him safely.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, for the wisdom you've given him, Lord, on this topic that's going to be discussed today. And Lord, we ask you to give him a fresh anointing, and Herman and Sharron a fresh anointing, to speak your words, your truth, your wisdom on this subject. Lord, that many people will grow in the grace and knowledge of God. Lord, we thank you that with you, Lord, we can have peace and rest, knowing, Lord, that when your people pray, Father, it moves your hand. And Father, no matter what this world looks like, no matter how hopeless it seems to be, we thank you that you are a God who's faithful and true. And when your people pray, and we pray your will, Lord, you do hear and you do answer prayer. So Lord, be honored and glorified through this program today. Give your people wisdom to pray and to take action. And we'll give you the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Make sure you tell your wife that.
It's time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you so much. We have so much fun. I wish we could pass it on to you. But thank you for joining us, allowing us in your home or wherever you may be watching. Can you get a close, Dave, can you get a tight shot of my lapel pin? Okay. You know, America has been called the big Satan, and Israel has been called the little Satan. The guy that coined those words is dead. Just thought I'd pass that on to you. Bin Laden is dead.
That's right. That's right.
We have a show today that will enlighten you as to what is happening to our great United States of America. It is very revealing. I read this book, and it is just the most revealing information on a subject that has bugged me to death for years.
I know.
And I'm going, doesn't anybody see this?
I tell you, if you have friends that you can call or relatives, they really need to listen to this program today. It's it's going to be very enlightening.
Just give the name of our special guest.
Dr. Calvin Beisner is here with us.
And he's going to give us information that you need to hang on to. But before we go to that, this is about a 6-minute clip that tells so much about the subject we're about to cover. Watch this.
In what has become one of the greatest deceptions of our day, radical environmentalism is striving to put America and the world under its destructive control. This so-called green dragon is seducing your children in our classrooms and popular culture. Its lust for political power now extends to the highest global levels. And its twisted view of the world elevates nature above the needs of people, of even the poorest and the most helpless. With millions falling prey to its spiritual deception, the time is now to stand and resist.
The religious and political environmental movement, what we call the Green Dragon, has become one of the greatest threats to society and the church in our day.
Taking care of the earth sounds like a good idea because it is a good idea. What most Christians don't understand is that environmentalism is a whole worldview.
It offers its own doctrines of God, of creation, of humanity, of sin, and of redemption.
I think the fear-mongering is simply a way of obtaining power. whoever controls the environmental regulations controls the economy, controls the population.
Most environmentalists want to greatly reduce human population, which is why the green movement and the population control and reduction movements have gone hand in hand.
The Green Dragon series is not simply about global warming. This is a 12-week series about properly understanding the times in which we live and properly understanding a biblical response to the times in which we live.
In this series of lectures, we have some of the world's leading Christian experts addressing one of the greatest threats that now faces society and the church. We call this resisting the green dragon.
Today's environmental movement is something your parents and grandparents would never recognize. Forget about friendly neighborhood groups, cleaning up highways, planting trees, or recycling aluminum cans, all very sensible things. Around the world, environmentalism has become a radical movement, something we call the Green Dragon, and it is deadly. Deadly to human prosperity, deadly to human life, deadly to human freedom, and deadly to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Make no mistake about it, environmentalism is no longer your friend. It is your enemy. And the battle is not primarily political or material, it is spiritual. Hello, I'm your host, Janet Parshall. The Apostle James wrote, "Resist the devil, and he will flee you." In the face of the green dragon, we need a whole generation of dragon slayers. The Resisting the Green Dragon video series will give you the armor you need to rise up, slay the green dragon, and promote the true gospel of Jesus Christ.
As a former pastor, I'm always on the alert to threats to the Christian faith. And make no mistake about it, environmentalism is exactly that. It is its own religion.
Public schools today, our television programs today, movies today, like Avatar and others, are teaching our kids that there is a new gospel that we need to get behind.
The environmental movement has actually become what I call the cult of the green dragon. And we need to be prepared as Christians to rescue people from that cult.
Increasingly, I believe Bible-believing Christians are becoming aware and as a result, more concerned about the underlying philosophy of the radical environmental agenda and how it's pointing people away from God and into humanism.
Environmentalists have a long history of believing and promoting exaggerations and myths.
Environmental science simply does not have a good track record, not at all. Their false assertions are based more on their own morbid, pessimistic fears, not on any good science.
From A to Z, LR on apples to zero population growth, exaggeration, myths, and outright lies are commonplace in the environmental movement.
When we think about science, we think about the truth. Yet in so-called global warming science, we've gotten a lot less than the truth many times.
Our young people today are being brainwashed with a constant barrage of nonsense, including breathing out carbon dioxide is causing Mother Earth to heat up.
Such exaggerated or baseless fears lead to unreasonable policies that can do far more harm than the things feared.
Many of the policies that environmental groups and even these evangelical groups got behind were ones that would consign the poorest of people around the world to grinding poverty, to disease, to premature death.
Folks, this shouldn't happen. We need to stop the war on the poor.
Political scientist Charles Rubin equated environmentalism with everythingism. It is concerned about everything, and it wants to regulate everything.
Policies to fight global warming will expand government and shrink liberty locally, nationally, and globally.
Authority quickly goes corrupt because men and women are sinful. If indeed there is a global authority created to solve this problem, there will be massive corruption.
Some who are at the extreme have sensationalized things to the point that they feel that the crisis is so heavy that they actually have to limit the number of people who are living in a certain area or even the number of folks who are on the earth.
they don't see humans as the Bible, as God sees them, that human beings are made in the image of God, and they have dignity, they have worth, they have the right to life.
Mankind is the apex of creation. He placed it over the planet, over the environment.
At the heart of this push for population control is an unbiblical view of children and of life.
God created human beings, and He created the earth for their habitation.
We must be active in glorifying God by caring for our creation, yes, but by caring for the thing that God cares about the most, the souls of men and women, boys and girls, that they might come to know Christ. That must be our end and aim.
Dr. Beisner is the national spokesman for the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation and is also an author and speaker on the application of the biblical worldview to economics, government, and environmental policy.
Good
and
to
he's
have
with
you.
us today.
Good to have you. I got to show you his family. I don't know if Dave, you can get a tight shot on this. Maybe you can show me which camera is. Am I at the right camera? Okay, right there. Oh, good shot. Good shot. How many in your family?
Well, we have 4 1/4 natural-born children. Of course, that's 4 and 3 makes 7.
I mean,
7 children.
You've got
That's great.
You've got to be
what a nice
proud
family
of that gang.
Well, we are very, very blessed. The Bible says children are a gift from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is His reward, and we consider ourselves very much blessed by God.
I guess you could see in the open prayer that Linda Opsa was praying for us. She was standing next to a 6 foot, almost 6'5" guy. So I was just reminding him this is the height of the, or just maybe a little taller, of the prince that was just
6'4" he's supposed to be.
Worldwide television, so you get an idea how tall that guy was. This subject, I just absolutely am amazed that you've got in this book, and we're going to have the website up so you can get your copy of the book. I'm just telling you up front. I'll remind you a little later during the program. There it is on the screen, and the DVD. It is exceptional. I can't say that word enough. This is so well written and so well done, and you folks that are watching need to understand that this, along with the ACLU, if we could just get rid of the 2 of them, we would go, wow, America just returned.
We could breathe again.
Isn't it amazing?
We could breathe again, right.
Just the 2 of them.
Yes, right. We would get back so many of our freedoms. You know, in the preview from the DVD set that was played there, one of the commentators mentioned that a political scientist had said that environmentalism is really everythingism. The reason for that is that the actual word environment comes from a French word meaning surroundings, and I defy you to think of anything that is not part of our surroundings.
Exactly right.
So environmentalism really becomes everythingism. And we have another word for everything in the English language. It's totality.
Wow.
And so everythingism is totalitarianism. And environmentalism is so oppressive because it really wants to regulate everything in our lives.
We're going to have a full screen of this, but just read the ones in green there, and Dave's going to put it up on the screen. You need to hear this from this expert right here.
Well, environmentalism has become a new religion. It has its own doctrines of God, creation, humanity, sin, and salvation. Its policies are devastating to the world's poor. Wow. And it threatens the sanctity of life because it supports population control and reduction. It sees people as the problem rather than as the solution.
Right.
And it's targeting our youth in particular in our churches. And its vision is global.
Wow.
Wow. Global in 2 senses. One, worldwide, but also in intensity. Global, everything in life it wants
And they always go after the youth, don't they? Because they can form their minds when they're young.
Al Gore said in a recent meeting with youth that, you know, there are a lot of things that your parents have grown too old to understand, but you understand these things. And the sad thing about that is that not only, of course, is that manipulating the natural pride of youth, but it's also taking advantage of the fact that, quite frankly, youth are less discerning
than
That's
adults,
exactly
not
right.
more discerning.
Or just put a microphone in
adults.
front of their face and ask them a few questions about politics.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like who's the vice president?
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
Exactly right.
You know, in fact, you've pointed this out in the book, you know, but I know you didn't write this, but you
Yeah.
certainly read the manuscript and everything
Right.
in here you have
Edited,
not only read and edited.
did the copy editing
yes.
on the book. But Dr. James Wunless, who's a physicist and a lay
Boy,
theologian.
he's a great writer.
He's an excellent writer. It's a really entertaining book. Before it was ever published, I read aloud with my family and another family from our neighborhood through the whole book from my computer screen. Even the kids loved it.
It's amazing. You said actually in the book, he's become an environmentalist rock star, Al Gore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have watched individuals after his speeches taking apart everything he said. It's propaganda. There's no fact.
Yeah, his scientific basis is very, very poor. His factual background is very poor, but he manages to create fear by claiming great catastrophes around the corner, when in fact there is no good reason to believe these things.
Polar bears, trees, and bugs are over human beings, according to the environmentalists.
Yeah, in fact, just recently the United Nations has begun taking up a resolution offered by the country of Bolivia, a member country of the United Nations, to give Mother Earth, actually expressed that way, Mother Earth, the same rights that human beings have.
I saw that in the. I saw that.
But of course, the very notion of rights for inanimate, insensate, and most importantly, neither conscious nor morally conscious things, the very notion of rights for them is crazy, because rights imply responsibilities. You have no rights if you have no responsibilities. But somebody tell me how you can tell a polar bear what its responsibilities are. Right. Tell me how you can tell an ocean what its responsibilities are. If you have no responsibilities, you have no rights. That doesn't mean that humanity has no accountability to God for how we use these things, but it's a total mistake to say Earth has rights.
So they're really worshiping the creation like the Bible talks about.
Absolutely.
Rather than the Creator. And you know what happens to the whole society when you start doing that?
Yeah, what you wind up with is an exaltation of the most powerful people in society, who no longer are limited in their authority, in their claim over our lives, by our appeal to God, our Creator. Our Declaration of Independence says that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Right, that's right.
That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that fundamental understanding comes from the Christian recognition of the division, the difference between the Creator and the creation. But the environmental movement, almost in its entirety, is dominated instead by a worldview that says there's only one kind of reality. Not a creator, just the universe. Whether it's a universe that is God in pantheism or a universe with no God in atheism, it's all just one sort of thing. And then you can, of course, never appeal to a higher authority.
I never realized James Cameron, that 2009 Avatar,
Yes.
suggests that humankind of universal faith affecting the entire cosmos. So apparently he agrees with less people means a greater society.
Yeah, and the reason for this is that most environmentalists, including James Cameron of Avatar, top grossing movie in all history, right, believe that human beings are fundamentally consumers and polluters. We use up resources and we pollute the world, and that's essentially all we do. And it thinks that because it sees us as nothing more than just a little bit more advanced than amoebas or pigs or porpoises, perhaps.
If you felt that way about us, naturally you'd look at us that way.
Yeah.
It's a totally upside down view.
If we were bacteria in a petri dish, we would indeed multiply and multiply and multiply exponentially until suddenly our food source ran out and we would all collapse. But we're not bacteria in a petri dish. We are the image of God. God is the creator who made all things out of nothing. Now, since we're not God, we can't make anything out of nothing. But we get better and better at making more and more out of less and less, and that's part of how we reflect God's image. And as you know, the environmentalists will say, hey, every new baby that's born, that's another mouth to feed. Well, yes, but it's also two hands, and most important, it's a mind that reflects God's mind, can guide those two hands into producing more than it consumes in its lifetime.
Your PhD is in what?
It's in history, yeah. The history of political thought particularly, but it's in history.
And obviously a physicist wrote this book.
Physicist wrote that book.
So yeah, you know, because anybody thinks that anybody that believes in creationism and all of that, somehow they kind of have a lower rung of education.
Well, that's certainly not the case. I've forgotten now what journalist it was who about a decade ago said that evangelicals tend to be poor and poorly educated, less educated than others. And then when an actual poll was done to find out the demographics, it turned out that on the average, evangelicals had more education than non-evangelicals in America.
And they find out also that the liberals in charity give less than the conservatives.
Oh, far less, yes.
So it's interesting how the media projects an opinion like Al Gore saying that the people that don't believe that global warming is actually happening also believe that the earth is flat.
Yeah.
So you combine the uneducated, the stupid, with anything that is opposite of what they believe or say.
Yeah, and the reality is that although they claim that there's this great scientific consensus that human activity, human industrial activity is causing catastrophic global warming, the reality is that there are more scientists, including more climate scientists, who deny that than there are who affirm it. But the most important thing is this. Frankly, the number counting is irrelevant. Politics goes by vote.
Oh, yeah.
Science goes by evidence and reasoning. And as soon as you hear people saying, oh, it's scientific consensus, you know they're not talking scientifically anymore. They're talking politically.
That's a great thought.
Now,
my goodness.
what you're saying is through this environmentalism, they can get into every phase of your life.
That's right.
It makes me think of just recently, because of a little lizard, they said, they shut down an oil company's area that they were going to produce oil.
Particular project,
So they could come against you and say, well, your house right here where you're living, you know, it's too close to whatever, and so they could take your home away?
They not only can do that, but they have done that very sort of thing in many instances. They'll, for example, if they rule that a particular piece of your property is wetland, now suddenly you can't develop that.
That's
although
right.
at the time that you bought it with the understanding that it was something that could be developed for residential or commercial use. Now you can't develop it. And suddenly the market value of your property has plummeted. That is just as much taking your wealth as reaching right into your wallet and walking away with the cash.
Yeah, which they could care less.
Yeah.
I just heard on the news the other day, which I couldn't believe it, where the tornadoes came through in Alabama and everything. They were talking about not allowing them to build back those homes, but putting them somewhere else. But that's a tornado. A tornado can go anywhere.
Yeah, you just really put your finger on another of the inconsistencies in environmental thought. We want to hold humans responsible for what they do to nature, but we don't want to hold nature responsible for what nature does to nature. You know, if we did anything remotely like what those tornadoes just did in killing thousands and thousands and thousands of trees all through Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, you know, people would be in terrible trouble. But that was tornadoes that did that. Now, of course, some people are now trying to blame that on us because they'll say that the tornadoes were generated by global warming, generated by our industrial activity.
Mother Earth is ticked.
Which is, Mother Earth is ticked. This is Gaia's revenge.
Exactly. Carbon tax. Actually, this is in the book, so you need to get your copy. There's the website. Please make yourself available to these great reading material, the DVD. They're just fabulous. a carbon tax on folks that choose to have more babies, a $5,000 fine per child. Now, this kind of thing is being proposed.
Yes, yes, that was proposed by a scholar in Australia a couple of years ago, that if you chose to have more than 2 children, you should be taxed for each one of them, because after all, those children are going to be emitting carbon dioxide through their lifetimes, contributing to global warming. This is penalizing people for their choices about children. Whatever happened to the pro-choice movement? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
They're pro-choice when it comes to we want to kill babies, but they're not pro-choice when it comes to my wife and I have decided we want to have more than 2 children.
Interesting.
You see? Yeah.
But the thing of it is, with this movement, it's global. It's not like, you know, one country doing this or whatever.
Right.
This is every country in the world.
This dominates the thinking of the United Nations.
Yeah.
Totally dominates.
This was a German Green Party affiliate. We in the Green Movement aspire to a cultural model in which the killing of a forest will be considered more contemptible and more criminal than the sale of a 6-year-old children in the Asian brothels. Can you imagine that it would be considered more contemptible and more criminal than the sale of a child to prostitution?
This is the contempt with which these people hold human beings. Contrast that with what the Bible says about people. King David in Psalm 8 says, Lord, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you should take notice of him or visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor. You have made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet. That's the biblical understanding, and that's what's going to give us an understanding that instead of saying, oh, it's worse to cut down a forest than it is to sell a child into prostitution in Asia.
Amazing.
Instead, we'll say, no, we need to celebrate the birth of children, and we need to recognize that all of these children are made by God to exercise dominion over this earth that he has given to us, according to Psalm 115, verse 16. The highest heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth he has given to the sons of men. These children are made by God to exercise a godly dominion over that forest and over everything else, to benefit their neighbors. Love of God and love of neighbor.
I challenge you, get this. You will be amazed. The research that has gone into this, it's for today. And then the DVDs, every subject you could ever imagine in this DVD group, you will enjoy. I watched them. They are amazing, and they are so well done. Remember, Jesus Christ, if you're watching, is the answer to your need. I don't know how you feel about this kind of subject, but if you don't know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, this is worthless.
Absolutely.
Knowing him is number one. Yeah. Call upon him today. Let him come into your life and change your life. God bless you. Bye-bye.